Good afternoon. I hereby call this agenda review meeting of Nacogdoches ISD Board of Trustees to order. Let the record show that the quorum is present and all the board members are in attendance. This meeting is required, as the Texas Open Meeting Act was required, it has been posted. Today, all items on the agenda are for discussions only. No decisions will take place at this meeting. Thank you for joining us, and ask to please turn your cell phone to the silent mode. At this portion of our meeting, we have a public comments, and we have not received any request to address the public comment. However, if anyone interested to make comments or address the board in the future, the instructions on how to sign up are on the meeting notice. Okay, we are at the consent agenda portion of meeting. We will discuss items on the consent agenda. No action will take place taken on these items. Okay, board. First is board meeting minutes. Are there any comments, any questions? No? Okay. We move to business office report. Mrs. Lisa Barbrick, Chief Financial Officer, starts with budget amendment.
Good afternoon, President Niraman, board members, Dr. Trujillo. As you said, I'd like to begin with the budget amendments, and you can find them on page 22. Our first budget amendment is a familiar one, budgeting funds received for athletic facility rentals and then the associated expenses with those rentals. Item B, this is the yearly fund balance withdrawal for athletic equipment. This is one of those set-asides we have in fund balance like we do with uniforms. And as needed, so we don't pull every year, but this is one year we're going to pull it, $5,000. Item C, pull from fund balance to finish prior year athletic uniform purchases. So they still had $22,000 remaining, and so I'm pulling that from fund balance so they can finish that uniforms. They desperately need some uniforms. Item D, move funds for the Nacogdoches High School college prep testing from community engagement, $9,000. Item E, move funds to replace the high school golf cart for security reasons. Item F, move funds to extracurricular to cover payroll overages due to addition of athletic trainer incentives paid and a partial year temporary position.
Are those athletic trainers going to be housed at the middle schools?
It is at the middle school,
That's well done.
yes. Any questions on the budget amendments?
Okay, next is a donation, under $2,500.
All right, we received donations. We received soda from Vin Buffet for Transportation's Christmas dinner, a turkey from Holt Truck Center for the Transportation Christmas dinner, as well as ham from the Cook Tire and Service Center for their Christmas dinner. And the DSC received a file storage cabinet from Indico.
Thank you. Next, we go to investment report.
Our investment reports can be found on page 30. And this past month, we earned $215,748.38. And that seems to be around the $200,000 mark that we've been earning monthly. Any questions on the investment report?
I don't. Board have any question? Okay. Miscellaneous business office report, please.
If you have any questions on these reports, I will try to answer them.
Okay. Board, any comments, any question? Okay, next item, we move to item C, which is audit engagement letter for 2023-2024 fiscal year. Again, Ms. Lisa Barber.
This is a yearly request for engaging an audit firm to do our independent audit, and we are bringing the same audit firm that we have used in the past, Belt Harrison Pahacek.
Just curiosity, do we have to change auditor at any
We do,
particular?
it is not a requirement, no.
Okay, very good. Next, item D is adoption of an order and notice of calling a Board of Trustees election for District 4 and District 5 on May 4th, 2024, and presenter would be our Superintendent, Dr. Trujillo.
Coach Fashid and Board, you have two attachments, the order of general election for May 4th, 2024, and then the second item is the notice of general election on May 4th, 2024. In accordance with the board policy of the Texas Education Code, the election of Nacogdoches Independent School District Board of Trustees will be held on May 2024, May 4th, 2024. Early voting by personal appearance will be at Nacogdoches County Courthouse Annex, located at 203 West Main Street, beginning Monday, April 22nd through Friday, April 26th, 2024, from 8 a.m. until 5 p.m. daily, and on April 29th and April 30th, 2024, from 7 a.m. until 7 p.m. The election voting will be in the same location for the 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. location for that. Board positions to be filled in this election are the following individuals. Trustee, District 4, Position 6, would be incumbent Dr. Tay C. Groman, and District 5, Position 7, incumbent Mindy Winslow are the two individuals. The first day to file an application for a place on the board was on January 17th, 2024, and the last day to file for a place on the ballot will be February 16th, 2024. With that, I'll entertain any questions that anybody may have.
Thank you. Okay. Next, item E is a second reading of revised local policy DEC, compensation, benefits, leaves, and absences. Mr. Michael Martin, Deputy Superintendent.
Good afternoon, President Nuramon, members of the board, Dr. Trujillo. The board saw the first reading of policy DEC, local compensation and benefits, leaves, and absences. In essence, the legislature passed a law that began September 1 that required districts and peace officers to provide certain types of leave. The district here is just proposing that we allow a maximum of 10 work days for a telecommunicator who has experienced a traumatic event in the workplace. We'll be happy to answer any questions you all may have.
And of course, that's to be with the physicians or documentations, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, board, any questions? Okay, next, item F, the second reading of HASB policy updated 122 local policies. Again, Mr. Martin.
Thank you, Coach Nuramon. I will just open the floor if the board has any questions about any of the changes for the second reading of board policy and the TASB update 122.
Board? On both sides of my arms. Any comments? Any question? Okay. Now we move to discussion and action agenda. We have 5 items on the discussion action portion of agenda today. First one is consideration of board action on superintendent's evaluation. It is a practice of Nacogdoches ISD to evaluate superintendent every year in January. The board members will complete an evaluation form for discussion in executive session at the January 25th regular meeting. The board will then approve the evaluation in open session. Board, I need a comment? Approve? Okay. Next, item B is consideration of and board action, if any, on superintendent's contract renewal extension. Again, after the evaluation of the superintendent, the board will discuss and consider terms and possible extension of Dr. Trujillo employment contract. This will also be approved in open session on the regular meeting on Thursday, 25th. Any more questions?
I think this is a great opportunity to extend his contract because he's doing such a good job.
Thank you. I'll second to that. Now, it's consideration of and board action, if any, on the Nacogdoches High School waterproofing project. Mr. Martin.
Thank you, President Nuruman. The administration is proposing that the board approve a scope of work at the Nacogdoches High School that includes the removal and replacement of all sealant and caulking at the building's control and expansion joints, window and door frames, all wall penetrations and sidewalk, and paving joints. The scope includes the power wash and preparation and installation of new masonry sealer at the exterior walls. Note that the CTE building will not be part of this proposal because it is new and does not need it. The proposal was received from Garland DBS Incorporated for the amount of $1,426,294. So now we'll talk about what that includes. That is basically a 2-year project, and it is much like what we did at TJR not long ago. This is to help us seal the building, a health safety issue, so to say. Our building, that high school, what year did it open? 1980. And we have not touched it since with regards to doing this type of work. So it really needs to be done at some point. I want to help the board with architect and engineer fee. I know every month I come down here, Mr. LaRue and I, we present this stuff, Mr. Curtis, we present this stuff, and we talk about architect or A&E fees, and we don't explain what those are. So let me just kind of explain or help explain where those fees are going. A&E fees, of course, architect, structural, civil, mechanical, electrical, plumbing engineers are all included in some of these projects. In particular, one that we're going to talk about a little later, there's actual audio-visual design services included in there in the A&E fees. So when we talk about A&E fees, it's all these soft costs that are included in the project. We include them to make it a complete package. Okay? If it pleases the chair, I would like to invite Mr. James Roberts from Garland DBS to join us for just a moment and present.
Mr. LaRue, if you'd join him as well.
Good afternoon, President, board members, Superintendent. We've worked with James before. He's done good work for us, most notably TJR, another one of our older structures which had not been sealed for quite some time. I'm going to let him give all the nuts and bolts. He got a quick presentation, but this is every penetration at the high school, athletic building, every joint, all the mortar joints, so it's very extensive.
Thank you, Mr. Ruff. Morning, afternoon, President and board members and superintendent. I'm just going to roll through the presentation here. Please write down any questions. I'd love to hear your questions afterwards and answer to the best of my ability. So this is over 2 years. It's a massive scope. It's a very, very large campus. So we asked for 2 years from our contractors. To give you a little history, to paint a better picture, what we did at Rusk, I think, is going to help. So here was the beginning of when we started at Rusk. You had joints that were expansion joints at the stone and brick that were completely gone. At the windows, all of the sealants had shrunk, so it was allowing air and moisture into your library there and the windows around your perimeter. We had, at the lintels, we had massive problems there from weeps being blocked, so we had to fix that. The stone, you can see over the decades how it had discolored and gotten dirty, and that's just a sign of wear and tear. More problems there at the entrance, and then finally above the windows. I mean, it was just, there was a lot to be done, and Mr. Ralph was kind enough to say, hey, could you help us with this? So I'm going to show you now just a quick flyby of that same. Okay, it's on the back.
Have some come and go.
There we go. So here's a flyby of what that facility looked like when we were finished. So you'll notice how clean it is. What you can't see, and what I love about what I get to do, is even though that looks great, it's not just lipstick on a pig. It is, everything about that building is now sealed up, to where I think afterwards we had to adjust the pressures in the building with the HVAC, because when those sealants aren't done, you are sucking in outside air and overtaxing your HVAC, running up your electric bill, things like that. So that's what we finished at Rusk. We have a 12-step blueprint whenever we're coming to a project. It starts with first identifying the needs, doing inspections, and working through a very comprehensive, because of time, I'm not going to go through all of these, but this is our 12-step process to make sure that we're giving the right recommendations, making sure things are up to code, working with the right people, like Mr. Army, to ensure that all the roofs, and in this case, just the wall systems, are going to be designed as they need to. And then long-term comprehensive, number 12 there, our warranties are the best in the industry. So that's our blueprint. Let me go into a little bit of what's going on at the high school. So you saw what's going on at Rusk. I've got some pictures here of what's going on at the high school. Essentially, behind the brick, which is the red, it's designed so that water can get behind the brick. It actually goes through the brick and drains down the cavity wall. Now, over time, what happens is that cavity wall, the barrier there, begins to wear down. And so everything may look great on the outside, but what happens over time is you're going to get water into classrooms, above windows, and those are like, hey, these are our warning signs. We have a problem here. So the green line there indicates the masonry sealer that we apply. And there's a lot of brick at this school as well. So that's one thing that's going on. This is just another simple detail. The two, see if I got my laser. The two circles there indicate the sealant joints, where it's critical to make sure that these things stay maintained. In our climate, you get 20 years out of silicone and you get 10 years out of a polyurethane. And then it starts to break down. So this, 1980, someone mentioned earlier, so we're triple, quadruple past the life cycle. These are the current conditions at the high school. You can see openings between the brick. You can see and put your hand all the way back through at a few locations and touch the actual insulation of the facility. When insulation gets wet, you lose your R value. So then you're just exacerbating your problem more and more and more. More tears in your sealants there. They're very tough just because they've reached their life cycle. There's parts of the building that we notice where just some maintenance needs to be done. You'll see here, this is a really critical one. This is above a window. We call the condition above a window the lintel. At this location, there has been so much movement, the mortar that holds the brick is actually loose. So if you go call up Kuntz ISD, which the client I had worked with, they had major problems because they didn't take care of waterproofing, and the brick will actually start to come off the building. So this is loose. In this scope, we are addressing every single place on the facility where there's any indication of damage to mortar. That's included in this scope. You can see here just the organic growth and dirt and grime that's on the side of the building. All of this will be complete, it'll look brand new and be sealed with a brick sealer. These are the telltale signs that, hey, we have a big problem. And what's cool about my job is I used to walk by buildings and not even like, oh, okay, that's just brick. And now I can see, it's neat to be able to show people, hey, we have issues coming that need to be addressed. And then here you can see the deterioration around the windows as well. Just real quickly, these are the last couple slides. The box that's being drawn right now is our scope. You can see how big it is. The only thing that we adjusted was the press box, because it was just been renovated. So we pulled that out of the scope, but you can see all the dark areas that are being addressed, all the sidewalks between buildings, every single thing there is going to be addressed. So, and then our scope of work, I was going to show you, but it was already read out, but that's going to be this second box that's being drawn right now. We're going to look at that and be able to yield, well, I'm not going to go back, but all the things that he said earlier, getting rid of every joint and grinding it, and it's a very labor-intensive process. Before, I thought I'd just go up, like as a homeowner, I just put new caulk on something, and hey, we're good. If you really want it to last, you actually have to strip it out, you have to grind it, you have to go back and put a primer on it, then you got to put the right kind of backer rod inside, and then the right kind of sealant. And it is very laborious. That's why over 2 summers we're looking at this. And this number includes a 10% contingency as well, and some other safeguards to make sure this is the maximum that we're going to look at, and there should be quite a bit coming back. So with that, I'll take your questions.
I have some questions.
Yes, sir.
Principal Rashid, 1 second, before we go into questions, can I add something
Yes, sir.
to the board? This is an item, Ralph, we talked about it last month possibly, and we pulled it from the agenda. Up until yesterday, the day before yesterday, I was having conversations with Michael about pulling this item again, not fully understanding
Right.
the picture. So this isn't with little or known information from myself trying to ensure that if we bring this to the board, because this is a significant amount, but also it's the investment and fully understanding
Yeah.
the negligent that this building has acquired. And the telltale sign that really captured me in this conversation, I appreciate Ralph for clarifying this, helped me see the light with this, is the health implications that are behind this. When you have mold and mildew that can set into a building that impacts the staff, it impacts the kids. And so this isn't something that is lightly coming to the board. If we would have just gone through it, it probably would have come in last month.
Right.
And then I did a little more digging, a little more soul searching and visiting with folks. But I will tell you, as soon as of yesterday, before we came in here, I wanted to make sure you understood the dynamics. And I'm going to ask you to clarify one item. You have on the agenda, you have on there material testing.
Yes, sir.
Okay, can you explain to them exactly what that is? What, it's 10,000, it's small, but what is that testing that you're doing?
I don't know, was there a number attached to that? What, 10,000, okay.
Yeah.
So, because of that, the wall cavity that I showed you earlier is supposed to take the water in and drain it. Just as a precaution, whenever I do this, from Galveston all the way up to Bryan College Station, no matter where I'm at, I always make sure to pull 2 or 3 bricks out and send them for testing, because I want to make sure that when we put that sealer on the brick, I'm not sealing bad things inside. It's just it's something that you do everywhere. Never had any problem with it before. But we'll send it off to a third-party lab just to make sure that the the brick doesn't come back with something that we're not expecting, and then I come in and I put a sealer on it where it was breathing before, and now I'm going to seal something inside. So that's just a precaution.
So that testing cost is something as a business that you take full responsibility, making sure to test it and figure out what it needs to be, so that when you come in and do the work that needs to be done, you know that
It
it's...
is a precaution,
it's-
absolutely. Just like you would do for any kind of other project, we're going to go into an older building with things you're not sure are going to be there or not. So it's a precaution for our side, yeah. And we'll send that off to third party, make sure Ralph gets those notes. I'm not expecting anything, it looks normal, but we do have testing included.
Thank you for that clarification.
Yes.
President Fauci, thank you for allowing me to interject, and I believe Mr. Montoya had some
Okay,
questions.
Yes, sir.
my question is, I realize $1 million is a lot of money.
Yes, sir.
For waterproofing.
Yep.
So does that include the waterproofing materials and labor and warranty on that? Or do you give us a warranty on it?
It's absolutely, everything's included. Everything's included in that. So you have a warranty, you have labor and materials, and it's procured through the nation's largest cooperative that you guys are a part of, which helps you be the most competitive, called Omnia Partners. So it's procured through that procurement vehicle.
I like to ask follow-up. When is a warranty?
Yes, sir.
For how long?
So-
What expires, basically?
So, because you get 10 years out of a polyurethane, you get 20 years out of a silicone.
Yes.
And then I make the contractor give us a 5-year
Right.
warranty, because most of them they'll get 1 year and then, oh, it's 13 months in. We're not, that's not our responsibility. You're here with me, with the district, to make sure they're taken care of.
Next question I have is, the work starts in the summertime, right?
It will start in the summer, yes, sir. Yeah, and so we got the first few days, or the first months of the summer, any kind of holidays or breaks that you take, we're going to be coordinating the contractors so that he can speed up, because we don't want material sitting on site and getting in the way, so.
Any portion of your work would be prioritized, which goes first, which goes second?
Yes, sir. Yeah, so you have to do it in order. You want to do your joints before you do your sealer, because we'll have to tape off the windows.
Right.
When they spray the sealer, they'll put material down so that we don't damage any grass.
So do you bring in your own crew then?
That's not my crew. These are contractors that bid from the area, so I act as the manufacturer and then coordinate this through them. Yes, sir.
The company that you subcontracted to do the Rusk building, where are they actually from?
So they are from Dallas, and they had a full-time crew here.
Okay.
That was the Rusk building. They were invited to bid back. We had a great experience with them. They did not come in as the most competitive. So that was a different crew that is going to come in. But we have a process that you'll see, it's in here, I don't remember which, number 8, recommendation of pre-approved Garland authorized contractors. The last thing we want is someone who just got a license to do business coming up and giving you the lowest bid, and then you're stuck with a subpar performance. So we will make sure these guys, we look through their books, we look at their work prior to authorizing them, and we've been longtime partners with Tadco, who I think is the sub on this one.
So ultimate responsibility goes to you folks.
Oh, I am right there. Yeah, you can put me right in the sites if you need to. I'll take that all day.
I wanted to say one more thing.
Yeah.
The work that was done makes that whole building look new.
Yeah.
And for the age that it is, Ralph has actually said before, he thinks that's got the best bones of any place in the district. But that's important that we conserve and preserve the infrastructure of these buildings, and that's what we're talking about here is infrastructure. And this is truly part of what we're dealing with is kicking the can down the road, and now we're no longer kicking the can. We're assuming the responsibility and trying to get this done. Well, the other job was well done, and that's really in your favor, and we appreciate your efforts to do this for our kids and our teachers and everyone that's in those buildings, but also for our families and for our community, because if our buildings look nice, they think better things. So it's a comprehensive thing, but we thank you for your attention to detail. We know you're going to pick a competent company that's going to do a good job for us and do all the things that you talked about in handling the problems, because you just like turn over a stone, you see something else.
Yep.
But we appreciate you doing what you're doing.
Thank you for saying that. And now, just for me, I've got 2 girls who go to Tomball High School in Houston. My parents live in Etoile, and I love being a part of processes like this where I can drive by that when I come visit my parents and go for the next 20, 30 years, like, hey, we took care of those students, we took care of that board, those parents and families. So thank you very much. I appreciate you saying that.
I have a question you may not be able to answer, but from your description and explanation of our problem, as long as I can remember, we have had mold problems at the high school.
Okay?
Is this why?
I can't tell
I
you
knew
that.
you could.
It's not for me to say. That would
Okay.
be for a different process. I think Army would probably be really great, qualified to talk about something like that, but I can't tell you. I can tell you, I can send your masonry to a testing laboratory, and they're going to give us some results.
And it seems like even if it isn't the reason for the problem, it's bound to help.
Oh, absolutely, no doubt. I mean, the building is designed to have a certain amount of water come behind that brick, not around any windows or anything. We're going to address every stinking, if the board approves, penetration on this facility to make sure that it's taken care of.
I wanted to confirm one more thing.
Yes, sir.
This is going to include all sidewalks.
Everything.
Okay,
Yep.
so it's going to, in other words, it's like going to shine.
Yep, no doubt.
Okay.
It'll do all your
That's good.
sidewalks, every bit of masonry, every piece of window, there's a lot to get, that's why, I mean, it's a 2-year project.
Yeah.
It's a significant investment. We're going to make sure it gets done right.
Will that include the sidewalks that go up to our CTE building?
Which one is this? Oh, yes, sir. That's right.
Okay.
Yeah, and then you saw in the presentation, we're not touching those. I was actually a little part of that project a few years ago. So yeah, every piece of sidewalk, just nothing that's new.
Yeah, understood. It's good that will be uniform to everywhere.
Yep.
And that's very good.
Yeah, it's going to shine, for sure.
Okay, board, many more questions?
My question is to, I guess, administration, in view of our other major projects.
Yes.
Where's the funds coming from?
If, I'm going to...
I'll have that.
Okay, go ahead.
Thanks for the question, Reverend Irvin. The funds for this project, let me find it again.
The infinite wisdom of the board.
I'm sorry. It's coming from the Capital Projects Fund. If you recall, Reverend, earlier this year, the board set aside about $9 million.
Right.
So it'll be coming out of that fund.
Capital.
Once again, the infinite wisdom of this board. That way, we're not putting the money straight back into the fund balance. We have some ideas that need to do, so we're not having to go back in and out, and to honor the work that the board has done. So and that's where you'll see the revenue that's there for us to do.
So we would still have ample funds for the other major projects?
Oh, yes, absolutely. This is, you're fixing to hear another one that's fixing to come in, and so, but absolutely, yes, sir.
Great.
And for that, I appreciate the board.
Yes.
I'm board appreciation month. Had to make sure I say that, too.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for your time to come up here. Have a safe trip home.
Yep.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Board, do you have any comment if you put that on a consent agenda?
I think that's a good idea.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Next one, we have consideration of and a board action, if any, on a plant services renovation project.
Thank you,
Again,
President
Mr. Moore.
Noorman. Yes, on January the 9th, 2024, the district accepted bid proposals for the plant service improvement project. The results of the bids are attached for your reference. Based on a review from Mr. Curtis and our team here within the district, we have a recommendation of this project to award it to Construction Managers of Southeast Texas with a low base bid of $916,727. I'll break down the A&E fees or other fees include testing, material testing on a contingency of $45,000 and an A&E design fee of $68,670 for a total cost for the project of $1,040,397. There were a few questions about what all this project included. It includes all the drives, all the driveways, the parking lot. It includes regrading of the property over there. There's some storm drainage issues that need to be addressed over there. Also, a water line replacement to the main building and the shop building, sewer line replacement to the shop building, drainage improvements for storm, we just talked about that, re-roofing of the main building and the shop building, new storage shed, storage shed replacement at container units, we'll talk a little bit more about that, and re-flooring of the main building at the plant services. And that's the majority of that project. And with that, President Normand will ask if the board has any questions.
That's not including the property that is we inherited in the front.
No, the whole property,
The whole.
the whole property, regrade. Repay.
Wait,
No.
clarify which property you're talking about.
The one Mr. donated to NISD.
Oh, no, that's in a whole different site.
Yes.
What we're talking about is
On
the
Douglas
property
Road,
on...
right?
Yes,
Right.
on Douglas Road, that's
On
what we're
Douglas.
talking about, where
Yeah.
maintenance and operations is at, not near, not the warehouse.
Right.
Right.
Is the fencing and everything's okay with that?
This piece of property was acquired when, Ralph?
There's a Department of Transportation site for its original conception, and we took it over at some point. I'm looking at somebody, I don't know, long before I got here.
Michael didn't want to be on the spot, but he told me it was probably in the 70s. Late 70s?
Yeah, maybe.
Okay. Have we ever done any work,
I'm sure.
ever done any work,
It's been in there
Other
since
than
a long
the
time.
regular upkeep that Mr. LaRue does, we've never done any work out there. We've never really put any money into that site.
President Fashid and board, I just want to make sure that you know that we have done some work, but the work that we have done has been done by our own maintenance guys.
Correct.
That need a little extra space. So they have leftover material. They build a wall, they build a shed, they probably got something donated. And so these guys, they work their tail off for the district, for the campuses, keeping us safe. We've got an investment of our white fleet vehicles that we park out there. I'd hate to see the bill on alignments that we have, or tire replacements that we have. Matter of fact, this is a good day to take a drive out there, to take a really good look at the hard work of our maintenance guys. We have one gentleman here that's with our maintenance, but Ralph speaks proudly of these guys. They work hard all the time, and this is something we've not addressed at all. And the funding mechanism, once again, we would take it and use it based on the infinite wisdom of this board in looking at things that we have neglected to take care of for our employees. Would you like to add anything on that? Because the budget that we're coming from
Yes,
is
sir, that's
coming
correct.
again.
We're coming out of the Local Capital Projects Fund, which again is the fund that the board set aside at the beginning of the school year.
How long will this project take?
I thought we had 9 million in there.
Yeah.
We're gonna run out.
How long will this project
The next
take?
project is 8 million. Oh, no, that's right. That's right.
We gave them
We good.
90 days Does that sound about right?
It's under 100.
Yeah, we're hoping to get started, get out of the rainy season here, but work can start, while school is still in session. So I think the hope is that we'll be done with the construction by the end of the summer.
President Fashid and Board, another thing that I see that would be a benefit to Ralph and our department is he holds his interviews out there. We look for prospective individuals to come work and give their life to Nacogdoches ISD, doing the hard work with maintenance and operations and all the different facets that they have. One of the things that speaks highly would be having these individuals come out to a place that is well-maintained. They don't have to drop an axle coming in the front drive, park in the front. I say that in jest, but it's serious. One of the things that we have to look at is to take care of the ones that take care of us. So I think it would be something of attraction for recruitment, because if they know we take care of the facility there, we're going to take care of them as employees, and they'll turn around and take care of our kids and our teachers as well. So just want to put that in there as well. This is multifaceted on so many different levels when it comes to Nacogdoches Independent School District. So,
Dr. Trujillo, President Norman, Ms. Barber's done a little research, and it appears that we acquired that property in 1993.
oh,
93.
that's good.
93, yes, sir.
Well, personally, I believe if there is a mean, everything we have to be, should be functioning and presentable. That is my personal philosophy.
First, I would like to say something to Army. You have done very well for us in helping us find the problems, and so has Ralph and everybody working with him. It didn't take me long to figure out there was a problem there when Dr. Trio asked us, if you want to go look at the new bathrooms that are portable, there's one out there. And I basically could barely drive out there because they weren't potholes, they were craters. And they're almost contiguous craters. And so I just pulled in just a few feet and then walked. It's really a disgrace, the way that place looks. And so, again, we stopped kicking the can. We're going to fix what needs to be fixed and then take care of it. And I think this is wonderful that we have such a team to help us that work out there and work here. So thank you again for helping us to modernize and improve what needs to be improved, so that no matter where anyone goes, they can say, this is NISD's and it's well cared for and it's safer.
Should we move this to consent?
I like it. Board, should we put that on the consent agenda as well? Okay. Ms. Anderson?
There is one more thing I forgot. In TASB, in all these conferences I go to, they say, the best thing to do is fix what you have because it's cheaper. When you have to start over and build new, you won't even believe the cost. So this is a matter of we can save a lot of money by rehabbing what we have.
Gentlemen and lady, if y'all would just remain there. Thank you.
Okay. Next item is item E, consideration of the board action, if any, on a district support center professional development center project. Is it, again, Mr. Martin, you're on the roll.
Thank you, President Norman. On January the 9th, 2024, the district accepted bid proposals for the new training conference center addition project. The results of these bids are attached for your reference. Our base bid came in at $7,027,000, and then we had other parts here. And we're talking about the addition to the DSC located off Stallings Drive. So we had some additional fees. The technology of $80,000, HVAC controls of $65,000, furniture, fixtures, and equipment, $145,000. The repair of the DSC floor. If you've been by our offices lately, it's popping tile, and Mr. Curtis is still researching that. But we're popping tiles over there, so that needs to be readdressed. DSC additional doors, there's some doors that we needed to secure some records over at the existing DSC that we need to get in, put in. So those doors, basically $15,000. Material testing, $175,000. Owner contingency, $175,000. The material testing was $15,000. The architect engineer design fees are $491,890 for a grand total of $8,029,890. We are happy to answer any questions the board may have.
President Fashid, if I may, Army, can you step up for just a moment, just a clarification? This is the construction of the Teacher Staff Development Center. This is the parking area. This is any diversion of drainage on the back side of the building. So this is one complete package. There's no additional charges that are there.
It also includes the repaving of the driveway, 2 stallings.
Okay.
So the entrance drive, if you will, that is also being repaved under this project.
So that's the entire Klein Drive.
Correct.
All the way to the loop up to the location will be redone.
Correct.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure the scope of the project that the board will see that's there. Funding-wise, Mr. Martin, where's this budget coming from?
We're going to take the funding out of the bond funds, funds that we were able to recapture from savings of ESSER funds. And then if there's any overage, we will take it out of the capital projects fund that you all approved earlier.
Let me clarify that for the board. We have some current bond projects that are in the wrap-up phase. Once all those bills are collected and the bills have been paid, then we should have the full amount of the bond that's there that would cover it. But if it were not, then we are talking about a minimal amount that would come out of the same funding that we did before. By the way, the opportunities to do this was afforded because of the fact that we were able to redirect some of the original cost from the bonds. That is 100% of all the HVAC systems that went into all the new construction were able to be utilized from ESSER funds. So that was able to take a lot of the budget and go back and create a wonderful facility for our teachers and training for our teachers with this staff development site. In addition to the wisdom that this board also did with the property, increasing parking that we have, diverting water flow, and excitingly, the new drive, did not know that, the new drive from Klein, so you will be able to see something that's very well taken care of that comes through that property. So I just wanted to get that point out to the board.
I'm just curious, what time frame are we talking about in terms of completion for this project?
It's going to take a while. We are trying to work, we will be working with the contractor on how the project gets phased and scheduled. There will be a little bit of back and forth to release that east parking lot that's used right now. The goal is to schedule the new parking lot to be one of the first things that happens, and to get it to a point that staff can use it so that the other eastern parking lot can be given up for laydown and storage of supplies and better access to the actual building site. So I believe we have a 14-month contract date at the moment in there. I think we're willing to be flexible. I think the district would be willing to be flexible on it, given the parking lot and weather conditions and so on. But right now, that's our overall from start to finish date for about 14 months.
President Fashid and Mr. Montoya, to your point, one thing to add that makes it a little bit more attractive with time is we don't have to work around the children. This is an off-site for administration. The only thing is offsetting the administration different locations. So one of the wonderful things is we're not having to navigate around kids, almost like what we were talking about with the high school, with the ceiling and doing all of that. They're working around the schedule with students and teachers, so that will work in our favor. Not help us anymore with time, but it would eliminate the addition of time because of kids being on the facility, in the facility, so.
Are there any lumber that could be salvaged? Trees, lumber?
Not that I am aware of
Okay.
on that piece of property. Obviously, it will be cleared, and it will be kind of over-cleared to take care of some of the drainage, because we're going to be building a new detention pond on the bottom side of that. Most of the time, the way that a site like that works, if there was salvageable lumber, we would have looked at that up front.
Right.
And usually it becomes more of an incentive for the contractor, where the lumber is basically removed at no cost to the owner, just so that we can get it off the site. But I don't think that site really has much of a timber quality to it.
Maybe some firewoods?
Does it smooth communication and streamline things that's the same contractor for both of these projects?
So, I mean, yes, I think the way it worked out, it should help communications overall for both projects to have. We will have the same project manager for both projects.
Okay.
There is some degree of overlap on subcontractors, but really the projects are so different.
Right.
They kind of have their own, which is also good.
Team,
because then
yeah.
they're kind of dedicated to each specific
okay.
project. It just worked out that way. I think we had, as you'll see in the bid form, there was a lot of interest in both of these projects.
Right.
So I felt like we had good coverage, and they sharpened their pencils to get, I think, both projects. That was something they wanted to do deliberately, is to get both.
And again, you'll open this up to local entities that want to bid on the project?
Oh, yeah, we already have looked at the subcontractor forms for both projects. There are numerous local contractors, not only from Nacogdoches, but in the general area. Also, a lot of subcontractors that we have worked with before, the district have worked with before. So we feel very comfortable with what is being presented.
Do you see any unexpected issues we may encounter?
On the train, on this one,
Let me help you out with this one, because I know of one, and you can explain it to them, is we have a pipeline that
Yes.
goes through that parking area. The extent of that pipeline, a little unknown until most recently to figure out exactly, so we have to make some adjustments possibly, would be an example that you might share to the board.
yes, so there is a crude line going through the property that has been potholed so that we can understand how deep it is below grade and ultimately what finished grade will be. We are in contact with the owner of the line to understand some of the design ramifications to go over and work over that line. We are expecting there probably will be some changes in the paving, in the drive aisles of the new parking lot, to have to kind of thicken up the pavement design to assure that there's no impact to that line overall. I don't have the final answer on that at the moment, but we are expecting that.
I believe you can pave it, but you cannot build over it. That's what I
Yes, yeah, they have an easement, and you can kind of see that right now, the clearing that goes through that land,
Yeah.
that's the easement width of that line. So yes, no building above ground can be done, but we can definitely pave over it.
Yes.
And the back parking lot, the west parking lot
Yes.
is an example of that. The line keeps going through there under the basketball court and so on.
They're not active line, are they? Are they active?
Yes, yeah, it is a crude oil line making its way to Beaumont.
I told him we might be able to tap into it. We sell some of the oil back out, but no, we can't do that.
Okay, so I used to have a computer program, I don't know how long ago it was, called Go Back or Way Back or something like that, where you just could go back to that date. So there's 5 of us here that got a prospectus spiral bound from, in the time of Mr. Fraley, and it had this building on it. And it had well, this is what it's going to look like outside, this is the inside, and basically, that was part of the bond that we promised our public. So I want to make sure it's very clear that this is a bond project from way back, and I actually found all my little booklet and gave it to Dr. Trujillo, so to let him say, okay, we're just one more thing to get done, and get completed with our project. And I think it's going to be the crown, not just for the bond project, but for our district, because it's going to have an effect in the whole Region 7 area of bringing people here for professional development. And we have something as a community to be proud of, that even all of our county schools, but we want to extend all the way for the 100 and something schools that are in, or 90 something schools that are in Region 7. So this is a great way to finish up our bond, that people can actually see that we've been faithful, and we still have our accountability, right, Dr. Trujillo? They're still watching over us. So we are very glad or thankful for everyone who has pinched the pennies so that we didn't fail in getting this final part. This is a critical final part of that bond, and pinching pennies has led to the fulfillment without great indebtedness on our part financially. So thank you.
President Fashid, I just might want to add that this was a dream. Mr. Fraley mentioned it to the group prior to this. If it allowed, we would be able to do something like this. I will tell you, Army, a big thank you public to you and to Ralph, because we would not have known how much this would have cost us, and all the time and planning and getting it ready, if we would have stuck with the original plan proposal, which is to build it on the other side of the building. There was a lot of dirt, a lot of utilities, and now a crude oil pipeline that would have come up. And so the infinite wisdom of these two gentlemen, just to come in and have a conversation, is, hey, Gabe, what about the other side of the building? And that was able to address something, to do something a little bit different when it came to it. And I appreciate both of y'all for coming in and having the insight to say we can build the same thing, even better on the other side, and make it that much more impactful. But to Dr. Groman's point, yes, this is something that was originally part of the plan. It was going to be the bookend to the bond. ESSER funds came in, made it that much more possible for our teachers to have a state-of-the-art, responsible, nothing glorious and magnificent and shiny. It's a great building for our teachers and staff development opportunities that they have. But thank you, gentlemen, for the wisdom to just take the design and put it on the other side and save a lot of our taxpayers' monies and revenue and all of that we would have otherwise would have had to pay for it probably a different way. Thank you.
Thank you. Board, any more questions? Dr. Groman, any more comments? Any? No. Okay. Board, can we put that on a consent agenda as well? Okay. Thank you, gentlemen. Lady? At this time, the board will now conduct executive closed session to discuss items posted on our agenda pursuant to the following provision of the Texas Open Meeting Act and as allowed by Texas Government Code Section 551.071, 551.072, 551.074, and 551.129. No voting will take place in the closed meeting. Any actions the board wishes to take as the result of discussions in closed session will take place after the board reconvenes. It's now time 12:58.
We'll be here no sooner than
We will not be back before
1:30.
1:30. Dr. Hill, you have to have a meeting today, right?
I do have a meeting.
You are excused.
I think Thank you.
The board is now reconvening into open session, and the time is 1:31. Board members, are there any requests for future agenda items? Mr. Montoya?
President, I have a comment.
Yes.
I would like to thank all the people, since this is the Board Appreciation Month, I want to thank all the people that are spouses, family, loved ones, friends, and community for what they've done to help us do our job. And I know that the light is on us, the responsibility is on us, but we could not do what we do without those people. And in the same light, we're a team of 7, but we're a team of 1 that includes the man in the middle. And I don't know the name of that guy that was the man in the middle, but Dr. Gabriel Trujillo is the man in the middle. And the same way, he's a very committed and very knowledgeable superintendent. He's a superintendent, and we appreciate him, and we appreciate his lovely, intelligent wife and his family and friends and loved ones and the community that he's adopted here. And so we appreciate that as well. So I wanted that to go online so people can hear that and focus not just on us, but those that support us. And that includes you online. Thank you.
Okay, with that said, I'm seeking a motion for adjourn.
I move that we adjourn.
I second.
We adjourn.